Hey everyone, welcome back to a Feeding All My Reptiles Plus Updates video, and also welcome back to my channel. It's been a few weeks since I posted, so I first want to thank you all for your patience. These last 5 or 6 months have been truly exhaustive and busy, both in good ways and bad ways, though sometimes I think maybe more in bad ways. No, I shouldn't try to focus on the negative like that, but as many of you know, I fell ill like 5 or 6 months ago. I still don't have answers. I'm still not 100%. I am better than before, but it's definitely not my normal. So that has been a huge issue with posting regularly and just being invested in things that aren't in my immediate, importance, like making sure I'm taken care of and the animals are taken care of. So I do apologize for that, and I also appreciate your guys' patience. During the time of being sick the last few months and just being really busy, short form content has been easier, and I've also had a lot of success making TikToks and Reels, not so much shorts, but I still post them here anyway from time to time. And I also asked on my community tab recently if I should even post shorts on this channel, and the majority of people, though it wasn't like an overwhelming majority, but the majority did say to continue posting shorts. So I do post them here a couple times a week if you're interested. But I also make more regular short form content on TikTok and Instagram, so make sure you check those out. They're linked below. But I have had a lot of success making short form content, and it's been easier, so I've really enjoyed that, but I regret neglecting my weekly uploads here. I don't want to make you all wait for updates, so we will get right into it after I talk about one more thing, which is the food that my reptiles are eating in this video, which are black soldier fly larvae. These black soldier fly larvae were generously provided by Ecoflies. They have been so helpful in feeding the animal friends, so I recommend checking them out. Black soldier fly larvae have a positive calcium to phosphorus ratio, and they are low in fat, so they are a great part of a varied diet for your reptiles. If you want to get some for your animal friends, be sure to click the link in my bio. You'll be helping me out a little bit as well. And better yet, I have a discount code that you can use down below too. So thanks again to Ecoflies for filling my reptiles' bellies with the good stuff. Okay, one last thing. I did not record the entirety of everyone's meals, so if you see a clip of a gecko only eating a few, it's because they were hard to film, like the enigmas, or I had to cut parts out, or I did not record the whole feeding, because it can take a long time. I have so much footage of them eating. Sometimes they go blurry, sometimes they move and get off camera. It's really challenging, especially to feed the special needs ones, making sure I'm getting the tongue in front of them and holding the camera and making sure that the image is clear. It's a lot, but I did my best, so I hope that you guys appreciate. All right, let's get into the updates. Number 1, and the most exciting update, an individual working at a pet store reached out to me by DM, worried about one of the geckos at the store. The gecko was presenting with tremors, lack of interest in food, lethargy, and an abnormal gait and response to being touched. Due to the tremors and the abnormal gait, the individual believed a neuro issue was possible and contacted me because, as many of you know, I work with geckos with neurological issues. I asked for photos and videos of the behavior, which is something that I do anytime anyone reaches out worried about a neuro issue, because I can't really offer an opinion without seeing the behavior. The gecko did not appear to have a neuro issue, but it definitely had the tremors and the abnormal gait, that was definitely something to be concerned about. I suspected MBD. This is something else they thought as well, but they wanted to ask just in case it was neuro. Husbandry was discussed, and it was clear how invested the pet store employee was in getting help for the gecko. Fortunately, we discovered they were only a few hours from me. They purchased the gecko with their own money from the store, and a couple weeks later, I was able to arrange to pick up the gecko, who had been at the store since they were a juvenile a whole year prior. This gecko had been there for a whole year, guys. Nobody bought them. I was told the gecko was male, and I felt the urge to name them Lucerys because, as those who watch House of the Dragon know, that last episode was tough, okay? I love little Lucerys. So cute. Anyways, moving on. Interestingly enough, just before I read the message originally, I had a dream that a all-white gecko that was big, something like a Diablo Blanco, was surrendered to me, and I was like, that's Damon. So very interesting that literally just before I read this message, and then of course this gecko is actually an all-white gecko because it's a blizzard. I didn't feel that this gecko represented the qualities of Damon, so I did not go that route. Oh, also for those who don't know, all of my geckos have names from Game of Thrones or the like general like lore of The Song of Ice and Fire. Literally pretty much all of them. Like there's a couple that have names that are not, but their middle names are. So I was a big fan, okay? We don't have to talk about season 8. Moving on. On Saturday, my boyfriend got to be on his first rescue trip, which was so cute, and we picked up little Luceris from the store and spoke with another employee at the pet store who also just had the kindest heart for little Luce. I just want to be clear as possible. In no way do I fault these employees for the condition of the gecko, especially since it's not entirely clear what is going on, even to my experienced eye. Though I do suspect metabolic bone disease or some sort of vitamin deficiency. Again, I just want to be clear. It's not as clear-cut of a case as MBD as it can be for a lot of other situations. You know, like it's not as obvious looking at his bones straight away that, oh, this gecko certainly has MBD. In any case, I applaud them for reaching out to someone experienced and for trying their best. It is clear to me they have good hearts and genuine interest in Luceris's progress. When I brought Luceris home from the store, they spent the entire time warming up on the temporary heat source in the car and then remained on their under tank heater the following day. I'm wondering if they just really appreciated the heat because when they were taken from the tank to the traveling container, they had been in a hide away from the heat source. I'm pretty sure from what I saw of the enclosure, there was green repti carpet, there was a cave, one of those caves that has like a water dish attached to the side, and that was on the left side, and then it looked like the heat was on the right side, and there was like a big piece of driftwood or some sort of like enrichment wood there. So it could be that Luce wanted to have like an actual hide instead of just like laying under the driftwood or on the driftwood to get their heat. So it could be that when I put Luce into the temporary enclosure and into their, temporary enclosure at the house, not just their travel enclosure, both times they were just like, so nice to have the warmth. But I can't say for sure. I don't know. But then the second day that they were here, they've spent all day in the humid hide. And like, I took them out, I put them on their heat. I was like, are you sure you don't want that? Nope, they went right back into their humid hide. So I'm going to trust that Luce knows what they want and just let them do their thing. It's only been a couple days, so I've only offered food one time and Luce rejected it. At home, I was able to give Luce a proper look over, and I suspected this, but Luceris is actually a female. So she joins my other geckos that have male names but are actually females, like Tormund, Renly, Aemon, and so on. I love that I call her Luce or Lucy. It's like so cute because I literally wanted to call Luceris Lucy, and I was like, oh, but people are going to get confused and think Lucy is a girl. Guess what? She is, so now I get to do that. Lucy is a small adult leopard gecko and appears to be a Max Snow Blizzard morph, though without knowing the parents, I could not say for sure. Luce will have a vet visit in a few weeks once they have had time to settle in a bit and once I've had enough time to establish where they are at, which is important for a vet to know in order to begin a diagnosis. Fortunately, Luce is a good weight and is not dehydrated, does not have any stuck shed or strange patches on the skin, has clear eyes, and is responsive. It's clear that something is wrong, but fortunately, it is not something that demands immediate intervention. I'm not ruling out neuro issues entirely, but my suspicion, given the tremors and pattern of movement, is early stage of MBD. I will be making a separate video about Luce, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you are interested in supporting Luceris's care and what I do for all the reptiles and amphibians in my care, please consider supporting me on Patreon or by becoming a channel member on YouTube or by checking out the merch shop or making a donation. I would not have taken on Luce if I could not handle it financially, so I don't have like a GoFundMe or anything set up, but I just want to leave that door open for those who want to support what I do, because the more external support I have, the more I can do. And one day it is my dream, my absolute dream, to get to a place in life where I rescue, rehab, and adopt out reptiles. And of course I would keep, like neurologically disabled ones. I'd probably keep those because it's hard to find a good home for those. But regardless, I would love to get to a place where I can just take in rescues all the time. But I'm not quite there yet. Although as you can see, I've been doing it for years anyway. But I'd like to do more. It feels like I could always be doing more. Does that make sense? But anyways, that is Luceris's story. How exciting that Lucy has joined the family. And let's move on to another update. Another update includes a species I have kept before and currently have, but not in this specific way. I can't say more than that without giving away what it is, and I kind of want to keep that a surprise, with the exception of the people who are channel members or on Patreon, because they have already seen these animals, and they've also already seen Lucerys and heard his story. So I will always recommend for people who are like really invested, Patreon channel member, that's a good place to start, and to get some like background information, or to get some behind the scenes details, or to see animals before they come in, that sort of thing. In a month or so, depending on shipping temperatures, there are a couple of cute creatures of an amphibious and four-legged nature that we'll be calling here home. I won't tell you what they are, but I will tell you their names: Mushroom and Acorn. I did not name them, that's the names they're coming with, and I think they're cute, so I'm keeping them. They're a complicated and fascinating rehabilitation situation, and I would love to talk more about them when the time comes, because I've already learned so much about that species. Like, I've already kept this species, right? Like I've said, but I've learned more about this section of that species. I literally don't know how to say it without giving more away. But anyways, that is an exciting update that you probably won't get to see fulfilled for a couple months, unless of course you're on Patreon or a channel member, which you've already seen photos of them. They're very cute. Oh, perfect timing before I get to the next update. This is my gecko Tyrion. So every so often Tyrion will get these like little, I don't know, skin tags. He'll get like a little growth on the inside of his eye, and it wipes away very easily with saline solution and a Q-tip. I knew this before he was sent to me, so it's not a big deal. You may also notice all of his extra skin around his armpits and his sides and his neck. That he's just a little special. He was just born a little bit different, like a lot of the other geckos. But you'll see here, I just wanted to be really clear. Yes, there is something on his eye. I know it's there. And then ta-da, look, you can see it. Just a tiny little piece of skin. Doesn't harm him any. Okay, time for another update. So Benjen, my leopard gecko, he had a respiratory infection about 6 months ago, and he has one again now. I have said this before, but Benjen is the only gecko who has ever had one in my entire group of almost 40 leopard geckos over the 7 years I've been keeping them. And his issues seem to be chronic and likely due to bad genetics, as he has the crispest, cleanest husbandry of any gecko in the house. Like, his paper towel gets changed way more often. His humid hide has paper towel, and that gets changed way more often. Like, he doesn't even get to have eco-worth in his, like a lot of the other geckos. He has the crispest, cleanest husbandry, and he still gets these respiratory infections, which is very annoying. He is the gecko that has a severe underbite, a flat skull, and congenital kidney issues, for those who may not know or remember. I also noticed that whenever he has respiratory issues, he also starts to expel a lot of that, like liquid urate, which he does because he has the kidney issues. I think it's something that has to do with his morph, because there's another gecko at the house named Aegon who also is a similar morph to him. I think they're the exact same morph, actually, and he has the same issues. So it's just something that unfortunately they're born with, and Benjen has had it his whole life that he's been with me. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And so of course he is on antibiotics. He's doing just fine otherwise. I suspect he will recover just as well as before. His appetite and general energy are great, but I did just want to provide that update about Benjen, because it's good to be honest with everybody about what's going on. So yeah, Benny is currently on antibiotics again this year, which is, disheartening, but I'm not sure what else I could do for him except to treat it, I don't know how to really prevent it. Another update is about Sasha and Rue, who are two reptiles that I welcomed home some time ago. I will include the unboxing video on the screen. They are doing really well. Rue spends every day sleeping up on a leaf high up in the temporary enclosure. Like, she climbs her way up onto this leaf and then just like curls up like the sweetest little angel baby you ever did see, and just she sleeps there every single night. So because she's a decent climber despite her lack of toe tips, I have made her a 12 by 12 by 12 Exoterra with cork, driftwood, and a DIY textured background. I'm hoping to have her moved in the next few days, so keep your eyes peeled for that video, but she's doing really well. I'm also working on an enclosure for Sasha the garter snake, who has already had 2 sheds here, and I was able to compare the sizes because she had her first shed like a day or 2 after she got here, and then she had one a few weeks later. So I was able to compare the sizes, and there's like a whole inch, if not a little bit more than an inch, in between them. I'm like, okay girl, look at you. It's so cute to be able to see that like size difference, because I keep all of Mikasa's sheds too, so it's gonna be really fun. One day I plan to make like a nice little project and just have a display board of like all the sheds as Mikasa and Sasha have grown bigger. Like, it's gonna be so cute. Also, if you're unfamiliar, we're at the part of my feeding video where I'm feeding all of the enigmas and like really disabled leopard geckos. And also their paper towel looks dirty, but it's literally just stained from the eco earth. Like, you'll see Edards and Melisandres, like, they have a huge amount of staining on their paper towel, because as soon as I put eco earth and a fresh paper towel in their enclosure, they're like, oh, it's time to paint. Oh, it's time to stain this paper towel and look like our mother never cleans our houses, which is not the case. So just wanted to preface that. Anyways, back to Sasha. So I didn't plan on building a enclosure for Sasha because I just planned on putting her in one with Mikasa. So I originally planned to build a bigger one for Sasha and Mikasa when they moved in together. However, because Sasha arrived and I was like, oh, this snake is not big enough to be housed with Mikasa, I delayed making a bigger enclosure for Mikasa, and I realized I would have to build one for Sasha because currently she's in a like quarantine tub. It's a decent sized tub. Like, she can stretch all the way out and then some from one side of the tub to the other. However, it's just like not ideal. I don't like reaching down into the tub to feed her. I also don't like that it's, you know, kind of just thrown together. I would prefer something that looked nicer, especially since she's going to be in it for a while, because again, I didn't plan on her not being housed with Mikasa straight away. So I am building her an enclosure as well. She is going to be in an 18 by 18 by 12 Exoterra with a DIY background and sides, also driftwood and cork, you know, the whole deal. The same deal I would give to all the other permanent residents. I mean, every animal I have here is a permanent resident, but all of the permanent enclosures. Now, I know that a 18 by 18 by 12 sounds like that's way too small for a garter snake, and it would be if it was like a full-grown or even medium-sized garter snake, but Sasha is little still, and it is a 15-gallon equivalent, which is actually the same size of enclosure that I used for Mikasa when she was growing, so I kept her in that, and then I moved her into a 29-gallon pretty briefly, and then I moved her into the 40-gallon, the 36 by 18 by 18 Exoterra, which she's in now. And she's already too big for it. I'm like, is this snake ever going to stop growing? She's so big. So I definitely plan to upgrade her soon. I wanted to wait until her and Sasha could move into the same enclosure together because I thought that might be easier for them. But if the opportunity presents itself, I will just upgrade Mikasa because she's just massive and she needs space. I believe in giving as much space as you possible and as much enrichment. And, you know, she does a lot of climbing. She's a very active, healthy snake. So, you know, that calls for a bigger enclosure. Another great thing about Sasha is that she's a fantastic eater. Never declines food, not from day one. She eats the entire meal. She eats it off of tongs. I mean, she's just great. Great eater, really healthy snake, super active, just exactly what I would hope for. And I hope that, you know, I don't want her to grow too fast, of course, because I want her to grow a healthy way. But I look forward to the day where her and Mikasa can be housed together. The last thing I want to talk about is content going forward. You can expect probably another little break in between this video and the next. I'm not entirely sure. I would like to put a video out about Lucerys, but I want to make sure I have enough of an update before I actually make a video like that, because I want to actually know what's going on to be able to say that to you guys instead of just being like, here's Luce, I'll come back when there's more. So I was like, maybe I'll just wait. I also have a couple like enclosure tours I'd like to post, but people don't tend to watch those very much, so I'm not sure if it's worth the effort or if I should just wait to showcase them in a view my reptile house tour video, which I did one last year. I'll put it on the screen here, but it was my first enclosure tour in like, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years on this channel, so like since I first started. And I really love doing it. It's a lot of work, but I really want to do it again this year as well. I also would like to do like a meet all of my pets or a meet all my leopard geckos, because I know that's something that a lot of people like. And I think I would also really like to do a feeding all my reptiles, but not just like all the reptiles that eat black soldier fly larvae, but like feeding all of them in one video. So like, you know, feeding greens to Nova, or feeding greens to Wren, or feeding Pangea to the New Caledonian geckos. I'm also working on getting the geckos that I was left with when a relationship ended last year. I'm working on getting them into enclosures that are upgraded and more on par with my husbandry. That way I can actually include them in the enclosure tours and include them on the channel as well. That is taking some time. That's a hard thing to do monetarily when I already have a lot of other things going on. So I'm hoping to have all of this done and make that, you know, content that you guys can enjoy in the month of December. But it's a lot to plan out. You know, it's a lot to put myself into, but I'm going to be trying. So in the near future, I don't know what the content will look like in terms of frequency, but I am hoping to post those following videos that I mentioned. I would also love to reward and show appreciation for all of your guys' patience when it comes to how my upload schedule has been this year. And I thought a good way to do that would be to do a little giveaway of some gecko feet shed in jars, which sounds so weird, but whenever I post them online, people love them. So I will probably post about that on a community tab post or talk about it in a future video. But I would love to have like, I don't know, 10 of them that I could just choose 10 people at random from the comments and send them to, or maybe I'll do like half on Instagram and half on YouTube or something like that. But I just want to find a way to show appreciation for your guys' patience in this very strange and hectic and quite transitionary period of my life. So again, I appreciate you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys for your patience. Let me know what you think of that down below. Is that something that you'd be interested in terms of a giveaway? And I'm open to any other suggestions that you guys have as well. As always, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like. Also, please consider supporting us on Patreon or by becoming a channel member. We would love to have you. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell, all the good stuff. Check the links below. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much and goodbye. And a special thank you from me, Benjen, and the rest of the animals here at Jessica's Animal Friends to our patrons and channel members.